Tech for Techs here. Today we're going to be looking at this Be Quiet Shadow Rock 3. It's basically a CPU cooler which will work on Intel and AMD CPUs with the exception of your extreme ones like Threadripper. So the Shadow Rock 3 has an impressive cooling performance of 190 watts TDP. It's got 5 6mm high performance nickel plated copper heat pipes. With HDT technology, the heat is absorbed directly into the heat pipes. It has a decoupled silent Shadow Wing 220mm PWM high-speed fan. Emits only 24.4 decibels at maximum fan speed. The design avoids blocking memory slots for the front of the cooler. Elegant brushed aluminium top cover with bi-colour surface. Easy to install kit that can be mounted from above. Comes with a 3-year manufacturer warranty. Product conception, design and quality control is in Germany, but it doesn't specify where it was actually manufactured. Okay, let's have a real quick look at the box. It says Be Quiet on there. You can see the picture there, so it looks like it's got a silver heatsink with a black fan on there. It's a Shadow Rock 3, excellent cooling and so forth. It's classed as their premium model. By the looks of it, the retail price of this is around about £45. On this side here, it gives you a bit more specifications and so forth, which I'll put above. But it'll tell you obviously all the different heat sinks it works on and so forth, AMD, Intel and so forth. On the back it shows you how basically the memory doesn't get obstructed, and then how the heat pipes are actually built into the base. So the heat pipes are directly touching the processor, and then you've got a QR code for manuals and stuff like that on the side, and it's got all your different languages there. So there isn't much on the box otherwise. Okay, so this is what we've got in the box. It's pretty straightforward. You've got the manual there, what tells you how to do it. Got a QR code on there as well, tells you what comes in it. So pretty straightforward. Limited warranty information there as well. You've got 4 clips to attach up to 2 fans on there. Bear in mind it only comes with 1 fan, but you can attach 2. Well, we'll probably try that out and see if it makes much of a difference cooling. But it's nice to have the ability to add another one easily if needs be. This is probably the best way of putting it, mounting bracket. It actually goes over the base of the cooler and then screws down into the socket or the bracket what's on the motherboard, and the 2 screws to do it with. Thermal paste, nothing on there about what type it is or quality or anything. It's just basically a tube of thermal paste. A nice long screwdriver. Reason they give you that is so you can screw it in using this hole here, which goes all the way through, and it comes out the bottom, where most screwdrivers don't generally fit, or they're not long enough basically. So that's good that they actually include a screwdriver with it to do it with. You've got your mounting brackets for Intel, AMD, so pretty straightforward. One will be a back plate, you just put that in. There'll be 4 little things you put through the back plate, it'll go through the motherboard, and then you screw the 2 retention brackets on top, and then you put the cooler on, put the bar over and so forth. But anyway, you've got your cooler here. This is a 120mm fan, so on there it's got 7 blades, it's got a ridged effect. This is their Be Quiet Shadow Wings 2 fan, which is quite a popular one. Got rubberized corners on it, so makes it very nice. So I can't see any issues with that. That looks pretty good. And then you've got the cooler itself. It's quite big, especially for its price point. It's £45, so it's not too expensive in compared to some of them. You can see all the different fins there. It's got that silver aluminium look to it, but the top, which you can't actually see from the box packaging, does have sort of a black effect on there with it saying Be Quiet, which is nice. It does have 4 screws on there to keep it in. The hole on the top, as we said, and to put your screwdriver through. The bottom itself, let's peel that off. You can see the actual heatsink itself, or the base of it, and you can actually see where the pipes will directly touch the CPU. Obviously you'll have paste on there as well, so depends what you class it as directly. But as you can see, it looks pretty shiny, it's pretty good. Does have a slight ridge effect between it, so you are going to definitely need to use that thermal paste on there. Well, you will do anyway, but probably more so because it's not completely flat, because there's like little gaps between the heat pipes where I can put my fingernails, so there's definitely a slight gap there. It would have been nice to see it a little bit more flush, but otherwise it looks pretty good, pretty solid, and that's a pretty nice cooler in all honesty. Okay, our test setup comprises of an Intel i7 9700KF processor, a Gigabyte Aorus Z390 Elite motherboard. We're also running 16 gig of memory, a Seagate FireCuda 520 SSD, as well as a few other bits and bobs which are pretty generic. But the basics is all tests are run in 15 degrees Celsius rooms. All the tests are run for 30 minutes each. The temperature is the average temperature at those tests. So for example, if one core was 70, another core was 60, the average would be 65. But again, it's the average temperature over 30 minutes and the average temperature of all cores combined. All the voltages are fixed for the testing, so there's no fluctuation, and we make sure that the CPU, obviously when it is under load, is under 100% load and all cores are being stressed. We don't test the fans on automatic mode because that sort of defeats the object, because if you've got a bad cooler, it will basically run the fans faster to get roughly the same temperature. So we run the tests at 50% and on 100% of their speed. On all tests, the test machine is running the same version of Windows with Windows updates disabled, so there's no differences for any reason with any updates causing problems in the background or differences for whatever reason. That goes for the same for the drivers, and all background programs are also disabled so that we can basically test it under a controlled environment as much as possible. Okay, so let's have a look at the first test results. This is basically with the fan running at 50% speed and the idle temperature. And you can see the Be Quiet Shadow Rock 3 there performs at just over 22 degrees. And when you've got two fans connected, it's just over 19 degrees, which actually makes it a lot cooler than the Arctic Freezer 7X, which, bear in mind, is only a £20 cooler. So, in all honesty, it didn't do too bad, but it's a hell of a lot cooler than the Intel stock cooler. On this next test, we check to see what the temperature is when the processor is working at 100% load. That means that it's working as much as it possibly can with the fan stuck at 50%. And as you can see here, it actually performs pretty well. So at 54 degrees with the one fan and with the two fans at just over 47 degrees compared to 56 for the Arctic Freezer 7X. Bear in mind, as I said, the fans are running at 50% of their normal speed. These tests are basically identical, apart from the fan is running at 100% speed, so as fast as it possibly can. And here, surprisingly, the Arctic Freezer 7X comes out the top dog, running at roughly 3.5 degrees cooler than the Be Quiet Shadow Rock 3, which is actually quite surprising. And even with the two fans on, it was still worked out a little bit warmer. But again, this is idle temperature, so when basically the machine's sitting there doing nothing. In this test, basically the CPU is being run at 100% load, so it's working as hard as possible with the fan speed at 100%. You can see here the Be Quiet managed 49 degrees with one fan and 44.3 degrees with two fans, which, believe it or not, with the one fan, the Arctic Freezer 7X was actually a little bit cooler, so that is quite surprising. This is where we overclock it to 5 GHz at 1.35 volts at 100% CPU load, and the fans running at 100%. And here you can see the Be Quiet does come out a little bit cooler when you have got the two fans compared to the Arctic Freezer, and if it's just using the one fan which it comes with, it comes out at the same temperature as the Arctic Freezer 7X, which is again surprising because one cooler is £45 and the other is roughly 20, so there is a bit of a difference. Noise level here, At slow fan speed, you can see here the Be Quiet is actually a little bit quieter than the Freezer 7X, but when you do ramp up the speed up to 100%, it still works out basically lower decibel level. When you add those two fans in though, it does come out quite loud at 53 decibels. Overall, it seems there's not a huge amount between the two, to be honest with you. The Arctic Freezer performs very well for the price. And again, it's only £20 compared to £45. It seems that probably at lowest fan speeds the Arctic cooler performs better, and then as the fan speed gets faster on the Be Quiet ones, it does slowly seem to outperform just slightly the Arctic Freezer. Overall, it's a very good product. Build quality is really good. Nice big fan on there. You can add that extra fan on, which is always nice to be able to do. It's not molded like the Arctic Freezer was, so you can't change the fan or anything like that. So that's ideal, so you can swap it to however you want it. The colour, the quality and everything like that, not an issue. Installation was fairly simple for one of these type of coolers. It is a bit of a beast though, it is quite big, but saying that, you should be able to fit pretty much any memory in there you want in, because the way it basically sits over the CPU, it sort of leans to one side, so it doesn't actually obstruct the actual memory inside the machine. So saying that, I'd highly recommend this product, but bear in mind, if you're looking for a budget, you might find the Arctic Freezer 7X a better item to go for.